Hello, my friends. Welcome to this transformative journey we're about to embark on today. Before we dive in, I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine walking into a room and feeling that unmistakable energy, the kind where women notice you, become curious about you, and actually begin pursuing you. Not because of some manipulative trick, but because you've tapped into something authentic and magnetic within yourself. That's exactly what we're going to unlock today. I remember when I was struggling with this very challenge. I was that guy standing awkwardly in corners at social gatherings, watching others effortlessly attract attention while I remained invisible. The rejection stung and the loneliness was real. But through years of personal development and countless interactions, I discovered principles that completely transformed my life. Today, I'm going to share these revelations with you. This isn't about manipulation or using people. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally draws others towards you. It's about authentic confidence, genuine connection, and understanding the psychology behind attraction at a fundamental level. The techniques I'm about to share work because they're based on human nature and emotional truth, not tricks or games. One critical distinction before we begin. Pursuing a woman's interest should never come from a place of desperate need. Ironically, that neediness is precisely what repels the very connection you seek. Instead, we're going to focus on cultivating genuine value and confidence that creates natural attraction. When you truly understand this paradigm shift, everything changes. The most powerful form of attraction doesn't start with words or appearance, it begins with your internal state. I've seen men with average looks and modest means become incredibly magnetic to women simply because they mastered their inner world first. The outer results followed naturally. This internal foundation is where we need to begin. I want to be clear, this approach requires commitment to personal growth. You can't fake authenticity. The good news is that anyone can develop these qualities with dedicated practice. I've seen remarkable transformations in men who were once completely overlooked by women. The principles I'll share today created those changes, and they can do the same for you. Many men make the critical mistake of trying to impress women with achievements, possessions, or status. While those things aren't irrelevant, they're secondary to something far more fundamental: how you make her feel in your presence. When a woman experiences positive emotions around you consistently, she associates those good feelings with you. That association is the foundation of attraction. Consider this. Have you ever noticed how some men seem to have an almost magnetic effect on people despite not being conventionally attractive or wealthy? That's because they've mastered emotional presence. They make others feel valued, understood, and energized. This quality transcends physical appearance and material success every time. The foundation of becoming truly attractive begins with self-respect. I can't emphasize this enough. When you genuinely value yourself, not in an arrogant way, but in a healthy, confident way, it radiates from you. Women instantly sense this. Self-respect isn't something you can fake. It must be cultivated through intentional daily choices and personal boundaries. I once struggled tremendously with people-pleasing behavior. I would agree with everything a woman said, never express my true opinions, and essentially become whoever I thought she wanted me to be. The result? Complete invisibility in the dating world. Women could sense my lack of authentic identity, and it repelled them. The turning point came when I started honoring my own values and perspectives, even when they differed from others. Your self-respect manifests in countless subtle ways. How you speak, your posture, the way you handle disagreement, and your willingness to walk away from situations that don't serve you. These seemingly small details communicate volumes about your internal worth. Women are incredibly perceptive to these signals, often registering them subconsciously before they've even had a conscious thought about you. Let me share a powerful truth. The way you treat yourself teaches others how to treat you. If you're constantly sacrificing your time, needs, and boundaries to accommodate others, you're training them to view you as someone whose value is negotiable. This dynamic is particularly devastating in romantic pursuits. Healthy attraction requires a foundation of mutual respect, which begins with how you honor yourself. Now, I want to address something important. Self-respect is not arrogance. Arrogance is actually insecurity wearing a mask. True self-respect is quiet confidence. It doesn't need to boast or put others down. It simply knows its worth and operates from that knowledge consistently. This distinction is crucial to understand if you want to become magnetically attractive. The next principle is emotional stability. In a world of reactivity and emotional chaos, a man who maintains his center becomes incredibly attractive. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or being stoic. Rather, it means processing your emotions in a healthy way and responding thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. Women are drawn to this stability because it represents safety and maturity. I've observed that emotional reactivity is one of the fastest ways to diminish attraction. When you become visibly upset over small inconveniences, show jealousy without cause, or display insecurity regularly, it signals a lack of internal strength. Conversely, maintaining composure during challenging situations demonstrates a deep well of inner resilience that women find extremely attractive. Developing emotional stability isn't about pretending problems don't affect you. It's about developing healthy coping mechanisms and perspective. When you can face life's inevitable challenges with measured responses rather than dramatic reactions, you stand out immediately. This quality alone can transform how women perceive and respond to you. Another crucial element is purposeful living. A man moving deliberately toward meaningful goals creates a gravitational pull that's hard to resist. This doesn't mean your worth comes from achievements, but rather from the passionate engagement with your life's direction. Women are naturally drawn to men who are actively creating their futures rather than passively existing. I've seen this principle transform lives repeatedly. When you're genuinely passionate about your pursuits, whether that's your career, creative endeavors, community involvement, or personal development, it creates an energy that others want to be around. Purpose gives you a narrative that's compelling and attractive. It demonstrates that your happiness and fulfillment don't depend on a romantic relationship, which paradoxically makes you more attractive. Purposeful living also provides natural confidence. When you're actively engaged in meaningful goals, you develop legitimate competence and expertise. This creates authentic confidence that doesn't require external validation. Women can sense the difference between this earned confidence and the brittle facade that comes from posturing or pretense. This brings us to another fundamental truth. Attractive men don't derive their primary identity from women's approval. When your sense of self depends on female validation, you create a dynamic where women instinctively pull away. The neediness becomes palpable, and it suffocates any potential attraction. Instead, develop multiple sources of meaning and identity in your life. I encourage you to invest deeply in several areas: your character development, close friendships, professional growth, physical health, creative expression, and spiritual life if that's meaningful to you. This creates a rich inner world that doesn't collapse when faced with rejection. Ironically, this independence makes you far more attractive than desperate pursuit ever could. Let's discuss social intelligence, which is absolutely essential for creating attraction. This includes understanding appropriate timing, reading subtle cues, and knowing how to create comfortable space for connection. Many men fail here not because women aren't interested, but because they misread signals or create awkward dynamics that stifle natural attraction. Social intelligence means recognizing when a woman is open to conversation versus when she needs space. It means understanding the difference between friendly interest and romantic interest. It means knowing how to gracefully exit interactions that aren't flowing naturally. These nuanced skills create the conditions where attraction can develop without pressure or discomfort. I've found that improving social intelligence often begins with becoming a better listener. Most people listen to respond rather than to understand. When you truly focus on understanding a woman's perspective, emotions, and experiences without immediately trying to fix, impress, or redirect the conversation, you immediately stand out. This quality alone can dramatically increase your attractiveness. Authentic curiosity is magnetic. When you're genuinely interested in discovering a woman's viewpoint, passions, and experiences, it creates engagement that superficial conversation cannot. Ask thoughtful questions that open up meaningful dialogue rather than closed questions that lead nowhere. Show that you're paying attention by referencing things she mentioned earlier. Another crucial element of attraction is appropriate vulnerability. Now, this is widely misunderstood. Vulnerability doesn't mean dumping all your problems, insecurities, or emotional baggage early in an interaction. That creates heaviness and puts unfair emotional responsibility on someone who barely knows you. Instead, appropriate vulnerability means authentic sharing that deepens connection at the right pace. I've seen many men operate in extremes, either being completely closed off emotionally or overwhelming women with premature emotional intimacy. The sweet spot is gradual, reciprocal sharing that builds trust over time. This might mean acknowledging a challenge you're working through, sharing something you're learning about yourself, or expressing genuine appreciation for how an interaction affected you. Appropriate vulnerability also includes acknowledging mistakes without excessive self-criticism. When you can say, "I misunderstood that," or "I could have handled that better," with straightforward ownership rather than defensive justification, it signals emotional maturity that's highly attractive. It shows you're secure enough to acknowledge imperfection without it threatening your self-worth. Now, let's talk about presence. In today's distracted world, genuine presence has become increasingly rare and therefore increasingly valuable. When you're fully engaged in the current moment, not checking your phone, scanning the room for better options, or mentally rehearsing what to say next, you create a space for authentic connection that few others offer. I've noticed that presence is often the missing ingredient in interactions that fall flat. When you're mentally divided between the conversation and other concerns, women sense it immediately. Conversely, when you're fully attentive, making eye contact, responding thoughtfully, and genuinely engaging with what's being shared, it creates a powerful connection that stands out in our distracted culture. Physical presence matters too. Your posture, movements, and nonverbal cues communicate volumes about your confidence and comfort with yourself. Standing tall, with shoulders back, making comfortable eye contact, and moving with deliberate calm all signal self-assurance that's subtly but powerfully attractive. These physical habits can be developed with conscious practice. Another aspect of attraction that's often overlooked is playfulness. The ability to bring lightness, humor, and joy into interactions creates emotional experiences that women want to repeat. This doesn't mean constant joking or never addressing serious topics. Rather, it means maintaining a spirit of lightheartedness, even when navigating deeper waters. I've found that playful teasing, when done with warmth and sensitivity, can create compelling attraction. This isn't about putting someone down or being mean. It's about creating a dynamic where you're both enjoying yourselves rather than trying to impress each other. It signals confidence and emotional intelligence when you can create this positive tension appropriately. Playfulness also includes not taking yourself too seriously. When you can laugh at yourself, acknowledge when you're being ridiculous, and maintain perspective during minor setbacks, it demonstrates security that's deeply attractive. This quality shows you're not fragile or defensive, which creates safety for authentic connection. Now, let's discuss an essential principle: developing genuine interest in people beyond romantic potential. When you approach women solely based on physical attraction or romantic possibility, it creates a transactional energy that most women can immediately sense. Instead, cultivate sincere curiosity about people as complex individuals with their own stories, perspectives, and experiences. I've observed that men who struggle most with attraction often see women as fundamentally different creatures rather than fellow humans with similar core needs and emotions. This perspective creates artificial barriers to authentic connection. When you relate to women as complete individuals rather than romantic objectives, paradoxically, romantic connection becomes much more likely. This approach also removes the desperate energy that repels potential connection. When you're genuinely interested in people regardless of outcome, rejection loses much of its sting. You still enjoy the interaction for its own sake rather than viewing it as a failure if it doesn't lead to romantic interest. This freedom from outcome dependence is immediately felt and tremendously attractive. Let's talk about another powerful principle, creating positive emotional associations. People are drawn to those who make them feel good about themselves and life in general. This doesn't mean empty flattery or hiding difficult truths. It means focusing on positivity, possibility, and appreciation rather than complaints, criticism, or cynicism. I've noticed that many men unknowingly create negative emotional experiences in their interactions. They complain about their circumstances, criticize others, or focus on problems without solutions. Even when these perspectives might be valid, they create heaviness that women instinctively move away from. Shift your focus to what's working, what's possible, and what you appreciate. This principle extends to how you speak about others. When you consistently speak respectfully about people who aren't present, it signals integrity and emotional maturity. Conversely, when you regularly criticize, mock, or demean others behind their backs, it creates subconscious distrust. Women wonder, reasonably, how you'll speak about them when they're not around. Another dimension of attraction is demonstrating emotional intelligence. This means not just having emotions, but understanding them, both yours and others. When you can name what you're feeling, explore why without defensive reactions, and respond appropriately, it creates a level of safety that's profoundly attractive in today's emotionally illiterate culture. I found that emotional intelligence includes the ability to handle disagreement gracefully. When you can discuss different perspectives without becoming defensive, dismissive, or aggressive, it signals security in your own viewpoint while respecting others. This balance is rare and therefore highly valuable in potential partners. Emotional intelligence also means recognizing and validating others' feelings without necessarily agreeing with the thoughts behind them. When a woman expresses emotion and feels genuinely heard rather than judged or fixed, it creates deep connection. This skill alone can dramatically increase your attractiveness to emotionally aware women. Now let's discuss authenticity, which is absolutely essential for creating genuine attraction. In a world full of carefully curated social media personas and strategic self-presentation, true authenticity has become increasingly rare and therefore increasingly valuable. Women have finely tuned detectors for incongruence between what you say and who you really are. I've observed that many men put on personas they think will be attractive rather than revealing their genuine selves. This strategy inevitably fails because maintaining a false front requires enormous energy and eventually crumbles. The exhaustion of pretense shows through in subtle inconsistencies that create subconscious distrust. Authenticity doesn't mean expressing every thought without filter or sharing inappropriate details prematurely. It means aligning your words, actions, and presentation with your genuine values and personality. It means being the same person consistently rather than shifting to please whoever you're with at the moment. This brings us to an important distinction: integrity versus image management. Integrity means your behavior consistently aligns with your stated values and commitments. Image management means you're primarily concerned with how others perceive you, even at the expense of integrity. Women instinctively trust the former and distrust the latter. I've found that integrity in small matters signals integrity in larger ones. When you do what you say you'll do, arrive when you say you'll arrive, and remember details that were shared with you, it demonstrates reliability that's deeply attractive. These seemingly minor consistency points build trust that forms the foundation for deeper connection. Another crucial element is healthy boundaries. Contrary to what many men believe, appropriate boundaries increase attraction rather than diminishing it. When you clearly know what you will and won't accept in your life and relationships, it signals self-respect and clarity that most women find extremely attractive. I've observed that men without clear boundaries often become doormats in relationships, which inevitably leads to resentment and lost attraction. Conversely, men with healthy, well-communicated boundaries create relationships based on mutual respect rather than exploitation or power struggles. This foundation is essential for sustainable attraction. Boundary setting includes being willing to say no when appropriate, expressing preferences directly, and calmly addressing behavior that crosses your lines. The key is doing this without aggression or defensiveness, simply stating your limits matter-of-factly, from a place of self-acknowledge rather than reactivity or control. Let's discuss another critical aspect of attraction, being comfortable with silence and pauses in conversation. Many men feel compelled to fill every momentary gap with words, which often leads to nervous rambling or superficial talk. Learning to be at ease with brief silences creates space for more meaningful exchange and signals confidence that's immediately attractive. I've noticed that comfort with silence also allows for better listening. When you're not mentally formulating your next statement while the other person is speaking, you can truly absorb what's being shared. This deeper listening creates more relevant, thoughtful responses that move the conversation to more significant levels. This comfort with silence extends to being at ease with your own company. Women are drawn to men who enjoy solitude rather than fearing it. This independence signals healthy self-sufficiency rather than the desperate need for constant external validation that repels potential connection. Another dimension of attraction is appropriate assertiveness. This means expressing your thoughts, needs, and desires clearly without aggression or apology. Many men swing between passive hesitation and domineering control, missing the confident middle ground that creates healthy attraction. I've observed that appropriate assertiveness includes making decisions when called for, expressing opinions without needing agreement, and taking initiative in ways that respect others' autonomy. This balance demonstrates leadership without dominance, a combination that many women find deeply attractive. Assertiveness also means being willing to respectfully disagree when your perspective differs. Many men agree with everything a woman says in hopes of gaining approval, which ironically diminishes respect. Having the confidence to express differing viewpoints respectfully signals authenticity and self-assurance. Let's discuss another powerful principle, creating safety through consistency. When your words and actions align consistently over time, it builds trust that's essential for deeper connection. Conversely, unpredictable behavior or saying one thing while doing another creates anxiety that prevents attraction from developing. I've found that emotional consistency is particularly important. When your emotional responses are reasonably proportional to situations rather than swinging between extremes, it creates psychological safety. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions. It means processing them in healthy ways that don't create chaos or drama. Consistency extends to following through on statements of intent. When you say you'll call, call. When you express interest in something she shared, follow up about it later. These seemingly small acts of follow-through demonstrate reliability that stands out in a culture of casual inconsistency. Another essential element is appropriate self-disclosure, sharing your thoughts, experiences, and perspectives at a pace that matches the development of connection creates intimacy that builds attraction. The key is reciprocity, matching the level of disclosure that's being offered rather than overwhelming with premature openness or remaining completely closed. I've observed that effective self-disclosure involves revealing layers gradually rather than either hiding behind walls or immediately sharing your deepest struggles. This pacing allows trust to develop naturally, creating space for attraction to grow without the pressure of premature emotional intimacy. Healthy self-disclosure includes sharing both strengths and challenges in balanced ways. When you can acknowledge areas you're working on without shame or excessive self-criticism, it signals emotional maturity. Conversely, only sharing positive aspects creates a one-dimensional impression that feels inauthentic. Now, let's talk about an often overlooked aspect of attraction, genuine kindness. In a dating culture that sometimes glorifies callousness or manipulation, authentic kindness stands out dramatically. This isn't about performative niceness to gain approval. It's about a genuine orientation toward treating others with respect and consideration. I've noticed that kindness toward people who can't directly benefit you is particularly revealing and attractive. How you treat service workers, elderly people, children, or others in less powerful positions signals your true character. Women notice these interactions even when you think they aren't paying attention. Kindness extends to how you speak about absent others. When you consistently speak about people with respect and understanding rather than harsh judgment, it creates trust. This quality suggests you extend the same generosity of interpretation to her actions and words, creating safety for vulnerability to develop. Another dimension of attraction is appropriate humor. The ability to create laughter and lightness creates powerful positive emotions that women naturally want to experience again. Humor signals intelligence, perspective, and the ability to navigate life's challenges without becoming overwhelmed. I've found that self-deprecating humor, when it comes from genuine confidence rather than insecurity, can be particularly effective. The ability to laugh at yourself demonstrates security that's very attractive. The key is balance. Occasional light self-deprecation rather than constant self-criticism disguised as humor. Humor should never come at others' expense in ways that signal cruelty or insensitivity. Jokes that demean others, particularly those with less social power, reveal character flaws that repel emotionally intelligent women. Aim for humor that brings people together rather than creating division or discomfort. Let's discuss the power of growth orientation. When you demonstrate consistent commitment to learning and evolving as a person, it creates compelling attraction. This growth mindset signals adaptability, humility, and the capacity for continued development that's essential for long-term relationship success. I've observed that men who are actively working on themselves, reading thoughtfully, seeking feedback, developing new skills, or otherwise actively pursuing growth, have a dynamic quality that static individuals lack. This evolution creates natural confidence and interesting perspectives that draw others toward you. Growth orientation also means being open to learning from women rather than assuming you already know everything important. When you can genuinely appreciate a woman's perspective and incorporate her insights into your thinking, it creates mutual respect that's foundational for attraction beyond the superficial. Another powerful principle is creating mild unpredictability within an overall framework of safety. While consistency builds trust, complete predictability can diminish excitement. The ideal balance is a foundation of reliability with elements of positive surprise that create anticipation and engagement. I've found that this balance might include occasionally suggesting unexpected activities, sharing surprising perspectives, or demonstrating unexpected talents or knowledge. These elements create intriguing complexity that keeps attraction fresh without the destructive chaos of true unpredictability. This principle might seem contradictory to earlier points about consistency, but there's an important distinction. Healthy unpredictability occurs within a framework of overall reliability. It's the difference between surprising someone with an unexpected gift, positive, versus disappearing without explanation for days, negative. Let's discuss another critical aspect. Comfortable physical presence. Your relationship with your own body communicates volumes about your confidence and self-acceptance. Movement that's neither stiffly controlled nor sloppily careless signals comfort in your own skin that's subtly but powerfully attractive. I've noticed that physical ease cannot be effectively faked. It must be cultivated through genuine self-acceptance and body awareness. Practices like strength training, martial arts, dance, or mindful movement can develop this quality over time. The result is natural movement that communicates confidence without words. Physical presence includes appropriate touch when contextually welcome, the ability to offer comfortable, non-invasive touch at appropriate moments, a brief hand on the shoulder during a point of emphasis, a light touch on the arm when expressing appreciation, creates connection that words alone cannot achieve. The key is attunement to receptivity and immediate respect for boundaries. Another dimension of attraction is conversational mastery. This doesn't mean dominating dialogue with impressive stories or clever lines. Rather, it means creating balanced exchanges where both people feel heard, valued, and engaged. Conversation should feel like a stimulating tennis match rather than a lecture or interrogation. I've found that effective conversation involves several key elements: asking open-ended questions that invite meaningful response, active listening that builds on what's being shared, appropriate vulnerability that invites reciprocal opening, and the ability to navigate between light topics and deeper waters as the connection develops. Conversational mastery also includes comfortable silence, appropriate humor, and the ability to gracefully change subjects when needed. These skills create flowing interaction that leaves a woman feeling energized rather than drained, interested rather than overwhelmed or bored. Let's discuss another powerful principle demonstrating genuine appreciation. The ability to notice and specifically acknowledge positive qualities, actions, or perspectives creates connection through validation. This isn't about empty flattery. It's about sincerely recognizing what you genuinely value about a person. I've observed that specific appreciation is far more impactful than generic compliments. Rather than "you look nice," try "I appreciate how your eyes light up when you talk about your work. Your passion really shows through." The specificity signals genuine attention and authentic reaction rather than formulaic flattery. Effective appreciation focuses more on character, choices, and actions than physical appearance. While appropriate physical compliments have their place, exclusively focusing on looks creates an objectifying dynamic that most women find off-putting. Balance is key. Notice and acknowledge both internal and external qualities. Another critical element is appropriate mystery. When you share everything immediately, you remove the natural process of discovery that fuels attraction. Maintaining some elements to be gradually revealed creates engagement and interest that premature disclosure eliminates. I've found that this doesn't mean being deliberately withholding or playing games. Rather, it means allowing your complexity to be discovered naturally over time, rather than presenting your entire life story and innermost thoughts in initial interactions. This pacing respects the organic development of connection. Appropriate mystery also means maintaining some autonomy and independent interests, even as connection develops. Completely merging your identity and schedule with a woman's too quickly often suffocates attraction. Maintaining healthy separation creates space for continued interest and engagement. Let's discuss another dimension: cultural awareness and openness. In our increasingly diverse world, demonstrating thoughtful understanding of different perspectives and experiences signals intelligence and emotional maturity. This doesn't require comprehensive knowledge of all cultures, but rather a humble willingness to learn and understand. I've noticed that culturally aware men avoid both offensive stereotyping and performative virtue signaling. Instead, they approach cultural differences with genuine curiosity and respect, acknowledging their learning edges without shame or defensiveness. This balance is increasingly attractive in our complex social landscape. Cultural awareness extends to understanding different communication styles, relationship expectations, and personal boundaries that may be influenced by background. This sensitivity creates space for authentic connection across differences, rather than imposing a single standard of interaction. Another crucial principle is nonverbal attunement. Research consistently shows that the majority of communication occurs nonverbally through facial expressions, body language, tone, and other subtle signals. Developing the ability to read and respond to these cues dramatically increases your attractiveness. I've observed that nonverbal attunement begins with present moment awareness. When you're fully engaged rather than distracted, you naturally pick up subtle shifts in expression, posture, and energy that signal interest, discomfort, engagement, or withdrawal. Responding appropriately to these cues creates flow that feels natural rather than forced. Nonverbal attunement also includes matching energy appropriately. This doesn't mean mimicking exactly, but rather responding with complementary energy, perhaps bringing more animation to a hesitant interaction or calming presence to an anxious one. This responsiveness creates harmony that's foundational for attraction.